is one of the most important steps in the research process. It is an account of what is already known about a particular phenomenon. So it is an account, which means that it is a collection of the information or the research paper or the research that has been done in your particular area. Okay, the main purpose of literature review is to convey to the readers about the work that already done, then and the knowledge and ideas that have been already established on a particular research topic. So the main purpose of literature in this case is to convey to the reader, which means that the reader is your examiner. So you must be able to tell the examiner the trend or the history of the research, or the progress of the research, the history and the progress of the research in your research topic. So you must find the early research, and then you can see the progress of the study. So the progress of the study normally by over time. So you can see that the research will get matured over time. So until the day that you want to do your PhD, you must be able to describe this all this trend, and also must be able to show the research gap. Research gap is that something that never have been done before. So you must be able to show that people haven't researchers haven't done this before. Now I want to do it. So you must prove that. Okay. So literature review is a laborious task, which means that yes, it is. So you have to work very hard for that. So it is not an easy 5 minutes job. So it may takes you almost all your time to do this literature review. So where you need to find journal articles from the established sources, and then you have to read the journals and find what was their interest, and then what is the problem, and then what hasn't been done before, and then after that, who improved the journal, the work, and then you have to find another paper that can that cited the one, and then you have to follow the trail. You can see how the research in that particular area progressing until the latest one up to the day that you registered as your PhD student. Okay, so that means that if it costs you to read 100 journal articles, yeah, you have to read. So actually, the main point in literature review is reading. Okay, if you are very lazy to read, then forget about PhD. Okay, because once you have the PhD, you must be very good in your area. So you must be able to talk about your expertise in the expertise, the problem, the theoretical in your area. If you are unable to do that, then somebody will laugh at you later. You have PhD, doctor, blah blah blah, and then when they ask the question, you don't know, or you give very shitty answer. So that's why the literature review basically is very very important. Okay, sorry for that just now. But let me share first. Okay. All right, let's get back. All right, so the second slide. So what is literature review? So in all the universities in the world, they, in your PhD studies, they require you to have literature review as your second chapter. But some of them, if you refer to the way how the European university writes the thesis, it is different way. They blend the literature review together with chapter one. Okay, but in most of the Commonwealth countries university, just like UTM, UK, Australia, they want to see this literature review as your second chapter. Okay, so a literature review is based on this Queensland University. They said what is literature review? A literature review is an evaluative report of information found in the literature related to selected area of study. The review describes, summarizes, evaluates, and clarifies this literature. It gives a theoretical base of research to research and help to determine the nature of research. That is their definition. And then University of Toronto, they said a literature review is an account of what has been already established or published on a particular research topic by accredited scholars and researchers. So basically, they are the same. Okay, they are the same. So in literature review, you will read the paper. In most of the situation, you will never understand the paper during your first time read. No way. If you can understand the paper during your first time read, that is Facebook. That is not journal paper. Okay. So normally, what you need to do is when you open the journal paper, you will start to understand at certain part of the paper. So what we as a PhD student do, so what I always do during my PhD time. So when I read, I still remember during my first week of the my PhD time. So my supervisor gave me one journal paper. He said, "You read this, and then get the idea of it." So I read the paper. I cannot even understand the first page. Right? What I always do is the things that I don't understand, I will refer to books. I will go to the library and then I will find the book, read the theory behind it, and then, oh, now I understand. Or maybe you can go for Google, you can study a little bit. You can find so many resources nowadays. You can also get the e-books and so on. Okay, during my time, it is not easy to get the e-books, but nowadays you can just get it in front of your PC. So it just matter of whether you want to read it or not. So if I don't understand again, normally I will consult with specialists. I will go and write if I find the expertise in my university, I go to his room and then ask him the question. If not, I will email the expertise in around the world and then get the answer. When I get that, basically it's not only to understand the paper, but I get a very good theoretical basis. So, which means that when you go through a literature review process, you are not only for your PhD, but it's for yourself to become good because you understand that theory, this theory, and so on, just for the sake to understand one paper. Okay, normally the first paper is very difficult to understand because you need to go through to understand many theories or many things in that. And then when you go to the second one, it becomes easier. Okay, and then you go for the third one, the fourth one, and the rest, you can finish it in one day of reading. Okay, but the first one normally may takes you up to 1 month. So that is the challenge. Okay, so to become a good academician, you must have knowledge. So this literature review will give you an experience of getting knowledge. So by referring to many theory, many people around you, and also to get your PhD done. All right, and then once you understand the paper, and then you must be able to criticize the paper. You see how the level goes for PhD student, from know nothing up to critical. You must be able to criticize the paper. So in your literature write-up, chapter 2, so you must be able to critically analyze. So a critical, okay, literature review includes a critically analyze of the existing research in your field. So if you understand the paper, and then you can criticize. So this one is not enough. The paper only used to this theory where this theory has a weaknesses in the here. So therefore, in your study, you would like to apply the new theoretical base on the blah blah blah. Okay, so you can understand. Right, and then from literature review also you allows you to gain a critical understanding of your field. So as I mentioned to you just now, when you read more books, you 100% understand the paper, you basically will understand your research field. Okay, and then number 3, opportunity to think what has been done in your field. So when you follow the trail of the paper, you can see what is the progress of the study, okay, of the study in your field. And it is also give you an opportunity to think about similarities, pattern, trends, and also difference across existing research. All right, I will show you how to find the trail of the paper, so you can follow what happened to this, and then what happened before, and what happened next of the paper. Just in case you have one paper, and then you want to see what happened after that. So does anyone improve the paper? And then what does this paper improve before? What was the previous one? So you can see that just based on your Scopus database. And then literature review also can give you an opportunity to identify the strength and weaknesses of the paper. So you'll be able to think about what has not or needs to be done in your field. So this one at the end will give you your research gap. Okay. So once you finish the paper, and then you gain all these 3 at the top, you can identify your research gap. So this is what you do in your PhD. This is your PhD. That's why this research methodology is in your second semester. It's this early because you need to before. This is your first semester or second semester?
First semester, sir.
Oh, first semester. That's good. The earlier, the better.
First semester.
Fourth?
No, first. 01.
Oh, first semester. Okay.
1.
All right. So you get
second semester, sir.
You have to present your proposal in your second semester. So which means that it must include this is the proposal. Oh, sorry. You must include this in your proposal. So you have, after this class, you need to work hard to get the research gap. So the gap of the literature is your justification for your research. You see, this is what you need to justify. So if you repeat someone else's work, can you get PhD? The answer is no. Can you publish? No. So what is the value of your PhD then? You cannot publish, you cannot get your PhD. Just in case you are lucky enough, you get your PhD, but you cannot publish. You go somewhere else, bring your CV, and then somewhere you want to become a lecturer. And then the first question is, how many is your publication? 0. Then you have to forget about it. So it's not easy, you see, to become an academician, but if you are really interested in becoming an academician, you will go through all the different difficult process. For me, I like to become a lecturer, so that's why whatever job scope in lecturerships or in academic line, I will do it. So just like publication, everything. During my PhD time, you see, I learned so many things from my supervisor, not because my supervisor wants to give it to me, but I ask him what I want. So, for example, I would like to learn about publication. So I volunteer to go to him, Professor, can I write journal articles? My first journal article. So he said, okay, you have he asked me, you have the experimental result, and then you also have the theoretical result and numerical result. Okay, write one. So I will check. If I don't do that, so he will never teach me how to write. And then the second one, when I complete my journal papers, I want to become a reviewer of journal paper. So I go to him. I say, Professor, can you teach me how to become a reviewer? He said, okay, fine. I have so many reviewer jobs here, so I give you 3. So you read and then you write the report. And then when I write the report, I give it to him, and then he call me. He teach me how to properly write the report. So now it is easier for me when I get back from my PhD. I already have skill to write paper. I already have skill to become reviewer. Well, those skills helps me a lot in during my career. And then at the end of my PhD time, I go to my professor. I say, can you introduce me to the big name in the field? He said, okay. So fortunately, on the next year, before I go back to finish, and then there was a conference in Perth. I was doing my PhD in Perth. So he said, come join me in the conference. Join me and help me to become the secretariat. So I become the secretariat. I give the name tag to the participant. And then during that time, he introduced me to the many big names in academia line. So nowadays, if I would like to collaborate with them, I just can email them. So they know me. So that is how actually you take advantage of your situation as a PhD student. So if you didn't do that during your PhD time, so you want to do it during your working time, it is very difficult because you need someone else to bring you together to help you to give the skill to you. So I have everything. I learned a lot from my supervisor, but not because of he want to. It is because I asked to. Because the supervisor will never give it to you unless you ask. Okay, as a supervisor, I can see whether the student is have the interest in the academia line or in the field or just want to pass the PhD. I can see that. All right. So so this is the when you finish all these readings, you understand, you can critiques, you can find the strength of the journal paper, you find the weaknesses of the journal paper, and then only you can get the research gap. So in order for you to get the strength, to get the weaknesses, you need to understand the theory, you must be able to critics, you must have understand to get the similarities, you must be able to analyze the pattern and trends of the research in your area, and so on. So in order to get understand this, you have to have a good knowledge. Good knowledge. Okay, you have to, in order for you to have a good knowledge, you have to, the big art here is to read. There is no way that you can get all these things without this one. So you must be able to do it. Okay, all right. So let me show you what is the things that can help you to do this literature review. So let's go to Scopus again. Okay. All right. So Scopus, UTM library, online database. Okay, Scopus. Let's go to Scopus again. Well, let's go to Web of Science. Web of Science is much better. Okay, for example, this is I like to find Okay, let's go for auto search. Okay, I find an articles. Okay, I find an articles, and then yeah, let's take my articles.
Sorry, sir, we cannot see your screen.
Okay, in a while, in a while. All right, so wait, let me share. You suppose you can see entire screen. Okay, can you see this?
Yes.
All right,
Yes, sir.
this is in Web of Science, the one that I
Yes.
show you just now. So for example, I am interested, I find an articles, and I find an articles, and then you find it, you go to citation. For example, let's go for this one. Okay, you are interested on these articles. You read these articles. Your supervisor, whether your supervisor give you this article, they just read this article. So you want to know what happened after this article. This article is published in 2018. So what happened after 2018 to this article? So you go to the citation. So that which means that there are 12 citation after these IT articles. So this, if you click this, you can see. You can see that all these journals, my articles, refer to my paper. So the latest one is here, February 2021, which means that within all these page articles, there are some researchers who improve my work. So you can see that from 2018 my work, there must be someone who improved my work. So you can get the second level of reference there, which means that you can see the first trail you get. Okay, for example, an efficient artificial neural network in bridges and beam-like structure by improving training with cuckoo search algorithm. So this guy must be improving my work. Okay, my work published in 2008, this guy published in 2019, and then this guy must be improving my work. So you read this paper, you read my paper, you can see that how he improvised my work. So this paper is published by one of the top, wow, this is D-Rock, D-Rock is top professors in this journal. So where is D-Rock now? He is in Belgium, Leuven, Belgium. So he is in Leuven, Belgium. Okay, this is the Leuven University is the pioneer university in my area. So the first research that has been done in my area in vibration-based damage detection was conducted in Leuven. Okay, this is what we call as the mecca of my field. Okay. All right, so those are how actually we find what happened after that. So that is based on all the articles in Web of Science, but you also can get it from Scopus. Okay, you go to Scopus and then you read, you get my articles. For example, you find it based on document. Okay, for example, these articles, I find it, your interest may be in what do you call it? In strengthening of the concrete, concrete strengthening. Strengthening. Okay, for example, this one. This is wrong spelling. Okay. All right, concrete strengthening. You scroll down, you can see, wow, there are thousands of papers. So we'll go through the papers, article one by one. You see which one of this one is fall within your interest. So for example, oh man, you find this 2021. So you read this paper. This is the latest one. So this is what happened in in the latest progress in your area in strengthening concrete. For example, what is the topic? Experimental study on mechanical behavior of eccentric compression short column strengthened by ultra high fiber reinforced concrete. So you get, maybe your research is involving application of fiber reinforced concrete to structure. So maybe this might be related. So you read this and then you can see that he cited, you can see at the bottom of the, you see, there are 36 reference. So which means that he might improve some of the work in the list of the reference. Okay, so you can, so based on this, you can get what happened before. Okay, since that there these articles in 2001, 2021, so you see there is 0 citation because this article just published. Okay, maybe I would like to have the article earlier. So go down here and then you can choose the years. Okay, maybe 2017. Then so this paper is only in 2017, or maybe you can also go and then what exclude, or you can exclude, or you can limit, or whatever. So get this. So you can see that, for example, if this is your research interest, and then you can see there are 55 people cited these journal articles, which means that among these 55, there must be some researchers who improvise this work. Okay, for example, this is another one. So it published in 2017. This is 7. So you might have a question. Wow, this is thousands of journal papers. Yes, there are thousands of journal papers. But you choose the journal papers that is directly related to the first article that you read, and then follow the thread. Doesn't mean that you have to read all, but just choose it. So if you get the articles, you can read the abstract. You can see whether it is related to you or not. Okay. So normally we downloaded the paper from Science Direct Journal. So whatever in Web of Science or whatever in Scopus, you can get it in Science Direct Journal. You go to this. So this site is paid journal. It's a paid site, but as a student you can access this because UTM already pay you. Okay, so for example, I go for my paper. It is easier. So this is the one. Okay, and then maybe this is one. So you can download the paper. See, this is my paper, and then you can read the abstract first. You see, if you read the abstract and then it doesn't relate to your previous one, and then you can go to the next articles. So basically, okay, basically, the literature review means reading. Okay, there is no such business as not reading in literature review. You don't have a choice. All right. So let's go for the next one. So as I mentioned to you just now, the purpose of literature review is to convey to the reader previous knowledge, fact established on a topic, their strengths and weaknesses. So the literature review allows the reader to be updated with the state of the research in a field. So when you read them, then only you know, okay, this is what happened in your field. So that's why when you become a lecturer too, you still have to read articles. So when you have a PhD student, then you know whether for that case, for the one that he do or the topic that he do, it is up to date. But the detail is up to the student. So it is also provide the knowledge about the problem faced by the previous researchers while studying the same topic. So some earlier researchers have their problem. For example, sometimes For example, in my area, the research before year 2000 has a problem with uh, where they normally go for small scale experiment, because during that time the computational power is not good, so they cannot analyze the higher the bigger scale. So, and then we can see the trend. So it will also provide the knowledge about the problem faced by the previous researcher while studying the same topic. So you also, oh, this is the same thing. Okay. Next one. Okay. This was my PhD study, PhD chapter 2 of my PhD thesis. So I submitted my thesis in 2008, which is last 13 years, but it is still fresh in my memory. The experience doing PhD is very, very valuable. If you ask me whether I like it or not, yeah, I enjoy my PhD time so much. Even though it is not very easy, it's not easy. You know, my supervisor is a very big supervisor. He was very busy. So to get him to discuss with him, I have to make an appointment 2 weeks earlier. So I have to plan my PhD journey. I have to plan my schedule every day. So it means that if I couldn't get him, it doesn't mean that I cannot do something else. So you have to plan. So some students nowadays, that I can see that they don't have plan. So they have problem and then they stop. They do nothing and then sometimes they want to kill themselves. They have no way how to solve the problem. In PhD study, you will face multiple problems. Okay, for example, your machine, something wrong with the machine or the equipment, and then, so what are you going to do there? So you have to solve it, whether you want to repair or maybe you want to use other universities' resources or so on. You have to find a way. And some of the situation you didn't get the good result. I can see that the student, when they don't get the good result and then they become stressed and forget and then disappear for 2 weeks or for 2 months. When I call them, they never want to pick up the phone. This is part of the challenge or part of the journey in PhD. That is normal. Okay, the PhD study is not as smooth as you think. You study PhD, you read, you get the research gap, and then you have your methodology, and then you go experiment, and then you get result, you get PhD. No, it is not like that. In every stage of your PhD journey, you will face problem. For example, in the second stage, you already have problem. When you read the paper, you don't understand. That is the problem. And then how to solve it? You ask yourself, definitely you will know how to solve it, but just whether you want to do it or not. There is no shortcuts in doing PhD. Okay? Right, some of the students, they always want a simple topic, but most simple topic nowadays is not valuable in universities. Okay, some university, they when they see a PhD topic, they don't want, because we already have expert in this in their university. So especially, for example, in UTM. So if the candidates of they can come with the topic with their PhDs in concrete, we will reject, because we already have the expert in concrete. But I want someone in structure, the structure analysis of finite element modeling. So in most of the university in Malaysia, they also don't want this. They already have enough concrete expert, so they don't want concrete expert anymore. But they are lack of the lecturers in structural engineering, geotechnical engineering. You have to think about it. All right, this was my PhD study. The topic is structural condition monitoring and damage detection with artificial neural network. Let me introduce you, give you a little bit of the picture of what actually I was doing during my PhD time, so you can understand how I categorize my literature review. So basically, the conventional way to go to what we call that, inspection or to get the health of the structure, we go by inspection. You go by using your eyes, and then after a while, people establish this method, what we call a vibration-based damage detection method, where by using the vibration data, the data that you sometimes think that it is an earthquake data, but it is actually a vibration data. So the data that normally you see in the monster movie, this one up and down, up and down, up and down, something like that. This is acceleration. So this is data when you see the Godzilla movie, you can see they always refer to this data. So this is what we call as vibration data. So people use conventional calculation, which actually provide a very limited output. So as the time goes, I apply artificial intelligence in my artificial neural network is one of the artificial intelligence to get a better result. Okay, so this is basically the overview of my study. So which means that in my literature review, I must be able to explain the trend of the study. So previously, direct method is the what we call as the conventional mathematical methods. So conventional mathematical methods consist of normally people categorize them in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 category. So I have to understand one by one. So I put them in the literature as the subchapter. All right, and then that is the conventional one. And then this is the intermediate level of the methods. So people start to use computer. The first one here, people use normal closed form solution or the mathematical calculation. All right, and then start from 2000, people start to use artificial intelligence, artificial neural network. I am not the one. When I read this part, I think I know that I am not the one who use artificial neural network. There are so many other people already using. So what? So the question is that, the big question is that, can I get my PhD or not? There are people, so many people already use this method. Yes, you can, because by understanding the papers in this area. So when I read the paper, I can see that people use artificial neural network in this area in the 3 categories. So I describe them. I see that okay, this one has weaknesses, this one has weaknesses, this one has weaknesses. So basically, from the reading of this, I summarize them, and then I will know what are the weaknesses and then what my research gap. Okay, so in your literature review, you also must have this category in your thesis. You must also be able to categorize your reading, and then you must have, this is very, very important. I give you, this is very, very important. Okay, you must be able to summarize all your research gap must be explained in 2.5 or no, in this summary, or sometimes people call it conclusion, or some people call it remarks. So it depends. You can also choose one. Okay, so if I am the examiner, the first thing that I will check when I read your thesis, I will check chapter 2. I will go for chapter 2, and then I will go for summary. Does the summary really explain the research gap? If not, then I will your grade maybe in C or C1 or C2 only. Okay. Right. Any question? You are there with me, or you already sleep?
Yes, Prof.
Okay, I thought that you guys from Nigeria must be asleep.
No, sir.
No,
We are with you.
No,
We're very much awake, sir.
Okay,
Sir,
okay.
I want to ask a few questions, sir.
Yes, go ahead.
Is there any tool for systematic literature review? For example,
There is no specific tool. You have to analyze. You see, literature review basically your own way how to express. So it doesn't have any format. It doesn't have any way format to express this what categories. It depends on yourself. And then when you write, nobody can say the category is wrong because it is based on your own assessment.
okay, sir. So, for example, recently I came across with a software called BOS Viewer, which is basically used for writing a review paper. So I don't know, is because the software actually does everything. It's arranged the paper in a country-wise, auto, and so many things. It has it's like a pie chart.
Yeah, I know.
Basically, yeah.
There are many software. People say that this software and that software. If you do that, and then I actually experience with some of the students that use software. They normally after they write, they come to me. Hey, sir, I have written my literature review, but I use software normally. So when I read the software, you can see that there is no continuation between the paper. So you cannot discuss what is the weaknesses of the previous paper that improved by the next one researcher. You can the software cannot do that. Only smart people can do that. So those smart people are you.
Okay. So, finally, you are recommending for if somebody wants to write a review paper that you should just read, you should just do it manual instead of using any
Just
software.
manually, because the purpose of this particular chapter is not only to produce this literature review chapter. It is for yourself, for you to become stronger. You see, you want to have a PhD. Yeah, that's why you have to read. So I don't trust on any software because at the end, even though the software can give you one good literature review, but you are empty. You are not a PhD holder.
Exactly.
You understand what I mean, right?
Yes. So, the issue of finding a research gap. Basically, are we? Is it when you read a conclusion, you discover that at the end of the conclusion, the author or the person that actually wrote the paper will describe, okay, further research should be carried out on or to improve on so something like that.
Yeah, it's up to you how to write, but the summary doesn't have citation. I will explain about how to write in a while.
Okay. So what I'm saying here is, can we take that as a gap? Probably if an author recommends or suggests that
you can.
that a further research should be carried out on and probably you don't know whether there is any researcher that have maybe done that work, and you don't know how do you balance the system, sir? Is it because probably you may come across that at the end of the day you may take that as a gap, and somebody has done the work while you don't know. Maybe you are replicating the same.
That's why that's the reason why actually I always like to have my own research cap. I don't when you read the article, some of the review paper give you suggestion, so you can take that suggestion, but you go through it in detail whether it is still valid or not. So that's why you need to read those papers. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
All right. So let me proceed.
Yes. Please, I would like to have a question answered. Most of us, like in Nigeria, I did a research in respect to noise, and I discovered that in certain areas in Nigeria, there is no much of this noise done as compared to the other parts of the world. I used the research gap as if the work is done, it will fill the research gap in respect to data available as regards to noise. Can that as well be filing?
Yes, you can, but you must prove something. Okay? If I were the reviewer, I will ask you. The big question is that why in Nigeria it doesn't exist? So can you prove to me that the problem is there? you must prove to me if I am the examiner. So you cannot just simply take, okay, other part of the world they have established the methods, but in Nigeria nobody use it. That is not a research gap. But that can be a research gap if you are able to prove the problem that the Nigeria face to get the data, for example.
All right.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, thank you, Doctor. Well done. Please, sir, I have a question on research gap.
Yeah.
I want to ask, can a research gap come in form of methods or materials used in the previous research work? For example, now I'm working on application of natural fiber in precast concrete elements. Maybe someone has used bamboo fiber before, and I'm using KNAF. Is that a research gap?
That is not a research gap. Basically, that is your field. The research gap is that you have to find. There must be people doing this too. Not you are not the first one in the world. So you have to find what was the problem of the previous studies in your area, in your topic. So now this is your topic. You find someone else that already done this, and then get the problem of the previous one, and then you improve it.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. Yes.
Okay. So let me proceed. Otherwise, we cannot finish by 12. Okay. So now you are in PhD level. This is your PhD level. So if undergraduates level, you basically you just repeat someone else's work and then you understand that is good enough. So for master's level, you must be able to understand how the knowledge is created. You understand, you apply, that is good enough. Okay, but for PhD level, you must have original knowledge, which means that what you find must be something new. Okay, demonstrating that you can create new, you see, new original knowledge. Not doesn't mean that it is a theory, but it must be a new knowledge. So when you have new knowledge, you can publish. You see, in publication of journal, it must be new, something new. Okay, all right. That is what I want to express. Okay, when you read the paper, okay, you have to ask question in your mind. So what are the research aims of the paper? So you have to understand that. So you just don't simply read and then don't understand. Some of my students say that, doctor, now we read the paper first page and then we the second page and then my mind going somewhere else. And then some of the students also tell me that, okay, I read the paper and then after that I go to Facebook. So I spend 5 minutes in paper and then another 15 minutes in Facebook and then WhatsApp and so on and then go back to the paper. No, you cannot do that because your mind should be with the paper all the time. So I was very lucky during my time we don't have this smartphone. While people, there are the iPhone 1 is already there, but I cannot afford it. It's so expensive. So I just use very traditional phone, the small one. So I don't have smartphone. I don't have Facebook account. I don't have WhatsApp. So nobody, nothing can disturb me. So during your time, it is more challenging. You see, that you have to have your smartphone and then beside you, and then you read the journal paper, and then after 3 minutes, your friend WhatsApp you, or you have to reply and then reply. No, it doesn't work that way. So it's good to get rid of the paper when get rid of the smartphone when you reading your paper. Okay, so you have to understand the research aims, and then you have to understand is the research aim achieved. So normally you can get this and these two in the introduction part of the paper. Okay, I will show you in a while. And then the second one, are there any problems with their methodology? This is where you go a deeper level of the paper, then you must understand their research methodology. If you don't understand, you go to website and so on, you can read. Okay, and then you can identify the problem. and then ask another question. What is wrong? What is okay? This is when you up to this level you already understand the theory or the whole paper. Okay, and then now only you can start to criticize. What is the strong and weakness point of the research? Okay, how will the research help with your own research? So this is your research gap. So based on the study, so how can you improvise the study? Or is there anyone else that improvise the study? Just assume that this is the latest paper, and then you can, this paper will help you to get your research gap. Okay, and then what can you take from it? So what can you take from the paper? Maybe some of the methodology is the same as your research. Okay, maybe the material are the different. Maybe the addition, maybe the finite element models are different. You are studying different thing, but the methods basically the same. So if the methods are the same, you can use the method, the same method, no problem. Okay. So what needs to be avoided? So some of the result show you, okay, this part doesn't give you good result, and then this exercise or this certain method doesn't give you good result. So you can avoid those, and then don't do that. If you have a question in your Viva time, and then the examiner asks you, why don't you use this method? You already knew what actually the reason. Okay, what are they doing differently? So at the end, you have to ask yourself, okay, if you decide to do that, and then you decide to go for these topics, what is the difference between you and the latest one and the latest paper? So you have to when you read the paper, you must be able to answer all those questions. Then that means you understand 100% of the paper. If you just read the abstract and then put it aside, and then print the new one of the paper and then put it aside, and then you pile up the paper, and tomorrow you tell your friend, you see, last night I read 100 journals. Those it doesn't make sense. Okay. All right, and then I skip this. All right, this is the conclusion. So before I teach you how to, I show you how to write. So this is my conclusion. So a literature review is not a summary of previous study, which means that whatever you read previously, you don't only summarize. You must critiques. You must have critical analysis. Okay, you must be able to know the strength and the weaknesses of those papers and what actually make the next researcher wants to proceed with the topics or in the improvisation. So what is the improvisation that has been done by the consecutive researchers? So the whole story will give you a trend or the trail of your literature review in your chapter 2. So it is not very difficult, basically. It is not very difficult nowadays, especially when you have Google Scholars, you have everything. So you can just straight away filter what is the related articles or not. So it is not very difficult. All right. So the second one is it is a list of unrelated. So it is not a list of unrelated or undiscussable studies. So whatever the paper that you do not refer in your thesis, don't include it in your literature. Okay, and then it is not the second chapter is also not the argument about the importance of your research. The second chapter is to tell about previous studies, not how important your research to the world. So this is where the student makes a mistake. Now there is another one. So some student, when I read their literature, I reject it. Why? Because they put the theoretical. They put the theory, every theory in literature review. Literature review is not theory. So sometimes when I see the literature review, they put so many theories in that. That is not right. I give them big X for that. Okay. All right. So to find a literature review, it is normally referred to a journal. So there are two types of journals. One is what we call as primary sources, and another one is secondary source. So if you are lucky, you can get the secondary source. But if you are not lucky, you can use the normal journal papers. So the normal journal paper is not really what we call as primary sources. So literature review mostly relies on primary source. Research reports, or for example, research report which are description of study written by researcher who conducted them. So normally for me, I always like to refer to normal journal papers. So a primary source is written by person who developed the theory or conduct the research. So this is just like my paper just now, the one that I show you. Those are primary source. So the secondary source goes to well, some people write a journal review paper. If you are lucky, you can go ahead and find the review paper. So some certain researchers, they already provide the literature review for you, but up to the years that they publish. For example, you get the literature review up to 2010. Okay. So there now is 2021. So there are 11 years of gap between the last published and the year of your PhD. So you can use the analysis or the categories that categorized by the research in 2010, but you have to enrich them. So by including the research within those years. So which means that this sort of review articles can help you in structuring your research, your literature review, but you still need to improvise them, but it still help you. Okay, those are the primary source. All right, you can get it from electronic database, you can get it from journals, you can get also from thesis, conference paper, and so on. So in UTM, we provide you with the database. Okay, you can go to Web of Science, or you can go to Scopus, and then you can find the articles. But the articles only subject to Science Direct subscription. But it is also very good enough for you to do your literature. But some of the paper, if you couldn't get it, okay, you just write straight away to the author. They will give you the paper. No problem. Okay. All right. Let's go to the database. Okay. Wait. Okay. Just like what I said just now, this is the Science Direct is the best database that you can get. You type anything of your topics, and then you find it. Can find it there. So you type everything, and then you find it there. It is a Science Direct. You also can go straight away to get the initial ideas. What other papers might be related? You can go to Scholar Google. Okay, you can go to Scholar Google. You can type, for example, strengthening concrete. So you can find so many papers in it. So normally you cannot download, but you can read the abstract. Okay. So this is because my computer is connected with the UTM database. So when I click that, you can straight away download. But if your computer is not connected, so you cannot download, they will ask you to pay. But UTM, since that UTM provide you, and then you can straight away download the paper. Okay. Right. So this is wait. Where is the research gap just now? Scholar. Google. Where's my Google Scholar? Okay, go back. Okay, from the Google Scholar, you also can see the citation, which means that, for example, this paper is published 14 years ago, and then there are 255 citations. You can click, you can see. So among these, there are researchers that improvise those papers. So you go through and then you sort them out. It doesn't mean that it must be very accurate. You just, as long as you can establish the trend of the research up to 2021, it is good enough. Which means that you don't have to read 255 papers. No, you read this good, this short right up also here. Also, it will give you idea whether this is related to your work or not. So just pick one or two of them and then proceed with the consecutive years. So it is not very very troublesome to get the trail, but it is always troublesome to read. Okay. All right. So that is how we do the information or the journal search. Okay. So let's go to the slide again. So UTM provide you with this, all these. You also can get thesis. You can actually, nowadays people always establish university always like to put their thesis publicly online, so you can access them. If not, you also can go to our library and ask them a service for them to get the thesis. But you must pay for that because normally the other universities will charge you. But if you have a good supervisor with good grant, normally they will pay. Okay, those supervisors just like me, I have my own grant. So my student never worry about money. Every time they want to go for experiment, so they ask, okay, can I use your grant? Yes, go ahead. I think last month we used 28,000 cost of experiment in UTM KL, so no problem. Okay. All right, so how to write a literature review. So I will go through this a little bit. So, but I already put this slide in the e-learning. So once you understand what I am trying to say here, you can refer the rest from the slide. Then you can download it from from e-learning. Okay, so you see, you are very lucky. UTM give you this course for you to for your PhD study. When I was doing my PhD in Australia, we don't have this such course. Nobody explained to me what is literature review, what is the objective, what is the methodology. Nobody explained to me. I have to find by myself. In Australia, we don't have this course. UTM give you free, you see. So in Australia, when I was doing my PhD, I have to understand everything by myself. How to get the paper, how to get the quartile rank, how to write the literature, everything I have to do it by myself. So there is no specific class for this, right? So in writing your literature, you must have your own script or your own. Notice what is the best? What your own what is the I forgot storyboard. Okay, you before you write your literature review, you must have your own storyboard. So storyboard means that you have what actually at the end you want to prove. Okay, so when you have that, you have to write your own script based on the previous paper, because some of the paper, if you want to read every paper, it will give you various direction. Okay, where is my pen? Okay, for example, you write this is your first paper, and then you, based on the reference, you can see there are these people improvise in this way, and then some researchers provide in this way, another direction, and then some of the direction provide this way. So in this one, you can put it in category, okay, and then your work is maybe subject only to one direction only. So, but you can say this is what you can write in the summary. You can say that, okay, to improvise the concrete strengthening method, researchers in the world improvise them in 3 categories. The first one is A, the second one is B, and the third one is C. However, due to limitation of the resource or maybe, but however, in this study, I focus on B methods only. You can write like that. We examiners understand because you have time limits. Okay, I don't expect you to go through all those categories to improvise. But when you finish your PhD, you start your career, you already have in your mind what actually you need to do research for the next one. So you can ask your student, okay, you go to improvise this one, and then you get one publication, and then maybe two of them do this, and then another two will do this. So you can get good publication after that. Okay. All right. So organize your material. So in the introduction, so if you refer to my okay, this is the category. This is how I arrange my literature review. 2.1 is the introduction, and then the methods. I already mentioned to you the methods: conventional one, and then computational one, artificial intelligence one. Okay, this is how I arrange. So the first thing that you need to do, okay, you need to write the introduction. What actually you want to tell about your area of study. So in this introduction part, you have to provide an overview or general view of your story. So you have to tell the people, the reader, what actually you want to write about. Okay, and then you have to express the storyline of your research in short, okay, briefly. And then you have to provide your own observation. So let me show you something. So this is my chapter 2. So I cut some of them. So I just show you some of the important parts because some of them may relate very much to the theoretical of dynamics, so which I don't think that it is appropriate. All right, for example, in the introduction, okay, this is where I introduce my area. Okay, since that my area is vibration, so let me write about the vibration, the history of vibration. So I write during 1970s, engineers and researchers in offshore oil industry have made a considerable effort to develop vibration-based damage detection. So my area is vibration-based damage detection technique. So the objective included to detect near failing drilling equipment. So last time people use it to detect the drill equipment and prevention of expensive oil palm from becoming inoperable. So this is not based on my study. So I have the citation. I cited them from Carden and Fanning, 2004. Okay, the citation format, every university has their own citation format. For UTM, you can go to the library, they will give you the citation format. Okay. So the researcher in aerospace industry in vibration damage detection started in 1970s. You see, I start my introduction by telling you, the reader, that what is the history. Okay, what history in, so it started in oil industry, followed by the aerospace industry, and then in 2001, according to review by the FARA 2001, the civil engineering community in our area started in 1980s. Okay, vibrations such as okay, all these methods are so they use in 1980s they use 3 methods. Okay, those are so a little bit specific. So what actually I want to tell you is that the introduction must be able to convey the general ideas of that, or the overview of the storyline. All right, and then I write the rest, and then where the vibration-based damage detection is based on the theoretical of dynamics, so on and so forth. And then Reuters 1993 categorized the damage detection in level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, and then I okay, and then at the end of this, I cut it. There are several pages. So at the end, I provide my own observation. So this literature review concentrate primarily on level 1 to level 3 only. You see, so based on the literature review of based on the uh, based on my observation, I can see that the previous literature review concentrated primarily on level 1 and level 2, 3 only, where level 4 is generally, okay, let me express it back. So in my chapter 2, okay, this is what I mean as this literature review is that my literature review, okay, my paper concentrated only primarily on level 1 to level 3 only. So level 4 is generally associated with field of fracture mechanics, fatigue life analysis, or structural design, which is rarely addressed by researchers. So I can conclude that most of the literature review, people, including my paper, including my thesis, will fall within the level 1 to level 3 only. And then this reason. And then I can proceed for the next one, the chapter where we compare the methods. So we can, while you are reading the paper, you can see that certain scholars or certain paper have different contradict result. It is fine. You just reporting. You just report. So for example, scholars X and scholars Y, they get different result, and then you can see if they are disagrees, the result disagree with each other. So does this problem to you? No, it is not a problem. You just reporting. People have different argument. All right, and then some of, if you are lucky, and in most of the situation they agree with each other. So you can say that these are the results support each other. And then some, as I mentioned to you, as a researcher, normally we write papers, we improvise the previous study. So we improvise them. You say researchers be improvise the researchers be improvise or improve the methods of the previous one. It is okay. And then some of the paper also will repeat the same method, but using different specimen. So those people actually confirms the finding of the methods. So normally this paper doesn't fall into Q1 or Q2 paper. So maybe it will fall to Q3 and Q4 because this is something not new. If you are applying someone else work with different material or different specimen, you cannot publish in Q1 and Q2 journal. Okay. All right. This is the way how I write, so you can refer. So this is the introduction of 2.1, I think. So let's go. This is how I, okay, this one. Correct methods. So this is I forgot where I write this. So this may be in the one of the maybe it's here. Oh yeah, it is here because this is page 9. So page 9, I write a little bit overview about this category. Okay, so this category basically telling the conventional way or the data that involved in the methods. So let's see how I write. All right, so I plan my writing by if I like to discuss something, I always like to give the intro, and then I give the debate, and then I give my own self-conclusion. Okay, let me read this for a while. Okay, as I mentioned to you just now, this is the earlier part of the chapter where we talk about data or the conventional method. So there are three types of basic type of data used in vibration-based domain detection. They are time domain, frequency domain, and model domain. Three types of data. So time domain is blah 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 so on. So I don't read this. So I up to here. So the rest is too specific. So while all the above data reflect condition of the structure, yeah, I can see that I can tell that from my reading that people use different methods or different data, since that they provide the condition of the structure. However, can you see that? However, this is what I find in my literature. There are arguments about the suitability of the damage detection since it has in each stage of the process involve data compression. So I say that because I also find that there are researchers that agree with this data is good, that data is not good, and then there is no agreement about that. Okay, that's why I write here. For example, Banks et al. 1998 question the suitability of model data. So you can see that I have model data, I have frequency data, I have time domain data. So I want to choose which data I want to use. So there are arguments. So and then in contrast, so the first one, bank say model data is not good. So this bank say it is not good, model data. However, in contrast, Penny don't agree with banks. So he say in contrast, according to Frischwald and Penny, 1997, the FRP, the model data essentially contain the same information unless, see, so Frischwald and Penny say the model data is good. Okay. However, in 2002, Lee and Shin pointed out that the model domain data can be contaminated. You see, those are the arguments. But is this a problem? No, you just express this in your literature review. So they suggest FRP, so FRF methods. So this guy suggests FRF methods. So what is, so in this question, as a student, which data I want to use? This guy say that one is good, this one is not good, and then so on. So which one? So I make my own conclusion, which is when you make your own conclusion, it is never wrong, provided you give your justification. All right. So nevertheless, most application of the vibration-based damage detection focus on methods that are based on model domain. I don't care what people say up here. I want to use the model domain because most application of the when I read the paper, I can see many people use this, and then I have to give my justification. Why? I cannot stop here. If I am the examiner and then I read your write-up up to stop here, I will ask you this question on the next one on your Viva. So that's why you must have give your own justification. So this may be due to the fact that, okay, this is my justification. Model properties are easy to obtain and to interpret. So this is my own justification. So every decision you make will never become wrong unless if you are unable to justify. If you don't justify, it will always wrong. But if you can justify, there is a way how to justify your decision. So in this case, I want to use model data. This is my justification. So you must have your own self-conclusion. All right. So organizing the body of your literature, it must be from the introduction. So as I mentioned to you that just now, introduction. And then specifically go to the previous method or maybe the different data. So this will involve, previous method normally will involve different data. So, and then this is in the category 2, where I now specific telling about the data. And then this category 2 include 2.2, 2.3, 2.4. So these are all the methods that people has done before. And then finally, once I finish that, I am able to provide my conclusion and research gap in the summary. So this is basically how to organize your literature review. So to the experience that you will get to write is basically based on your reading. Okay, I cannot give my experience to you because every experience needs an effort. So you need to read. Okay, you can download previous thesis, see how they write the literature. What is the best word to describe the contradiction or the alignment between the research? So when I was doing my PhD, I read a lot of thesis. So to see to just to know how to write the literature review. All right. So in each category, you have to, so this is the category, for example, this is the category, okay, one category, two, category three, the third category. So they demonstrate the progress of your research, oh sorry, okay, the category means this is the segment, this is the category 1, category 2, category 3, and so on. So in each category, you must be able to demonstrate the progress of the research from before and up to the current one. And then you must be able to give the debate Okay, this one improve that one, or this one doesn't agree with this one. We must be able. This is what we call as critical analysis. And then you must be able to, between articles and other articles, there must be a connection. This is what I said just now, that the latest paper must be connected to the previous one, whether it is improved, whether it is applied, whether it is confirm the findings, or so on. And then you have provide your own analysis. So as I mentioned to you, literature review is not a summary. So you, at the end, you must provide your own analysis and observation. Okay, don't worry what you want to write. Literature review is your own analysis. Nobody can say it is wrong. So this is another example, but this is a little bit specific to artificial neural network. So maybe if you want to get an idea how I write the paper, you can refer to how I write the literature review. You can refer to this page. So I already uploaded it, so you can refer. And then at the end, you must have a closing. So as I mentioned to you, this is just part of the closing. So they go back to this one, summary. Okay, you must have closing. So it is important that, okay, after I read everything about neural network, about the model updating method, all the methods that people use, this is my I narrow down that what I want to do. So this is the closing part. It is important that the neural network is able to provide as much information as possible. So when I read the method from the conventional one, and then the computational method up to the artificial intelligence method, I can see that this artificial intelligence or artificial neural network is able to provide such information possible for the status. However, in the early stage, more researchers that use neural network, okay, apply non-parametric as the output. This type of output classified the structure damage detection. So this is what I conclude, non-parametric. The people don't use non-parametric, so it may be too specific for you to understand. But I already give my own observation here. So this is the summary of the trend, and then I give you the reason why. This may be due to the computational power. So people previously it is non-parametrics because it is lack of computational power. Okay. All right, and then this is the my reason for future study. So these limits also include the difficulty in detecting multiple damage. So what I can see that previously people still use neural network, but it has a problem to go to the multiple damage. They just only detect one damage only. So this is the weaknesses of the previous study. So you can get all this based on your reading. Okay. All right, so since the research PhD consists of multiple. Actually, when you want to pass your PhD, you must be able to complete two major things. Okay, so one is the first research gap you get, you complete that, and then the second part is to improvise the problem that you discover in your research gap. Then you get your PhD. Those are the requirement during my PhD time in Australia, because to pass PhD in Australia it is not easy. There is no viva session. You have to write everything in detail in your thesis. If the examiner doesn't understand based on your thesis, there is no way that you can defend yourself. So everything must be error-free in your thesis. Okay. All right. So this is another example of how to justify the problem, and what is the problem that I find, and then what is my justification. You can refer. So this is the problem. This is my justification. This is the problem that I find, and then this is the justification. You can also list down the problem, and at the end you said you are focusing on only this problem. Yes, you can do that, no problem. All right. So normally, these two are the favorite wordings that the researcher always use. After we discuss with all the weaknesses, the problem, and everything, you would like to continue the research or improvise the research. So normally we use this word. So after we discuss everything before, and then we stop, and then we start to express your interest in your PhD by using the word therefore. So therefore, this study means your study will use blah 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 to improvise this one and then. Okay. Therefore, in this study, new methods will be okay. Therefore, in this study, a new method based on the theoretical by theory by blah 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 will be applied to improvise. So this is the best words. For some of the researchers always like to do after discussing the problem either previously, and then they always start to tell what they want to do in their study by using this word. Due to the problem above, this study proposed what? So your study proposed what? So this you must have this in your summary of your literature. All right, that's all for today, guys. Thank you so much for listening. I hope that it really helps you and then benefit you.
Thank you, Professor.
Is it okay with you, everything?
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, Prof.
Professor,
Okay.
I have a question, please.
Yes, go ahead, no problem.
Tomorrow, Wednesday, we have two sessions, research design from 9 to 12, and then library slot. What is the library slot?
Oh, library slot means that there will be people from the library will tell you about the facilities that you can use in the library to help your PhD study.
Okay.
Okay. So today also you have another slot in the afternoon, right? At 2 o'clock.
No, one slot today.
Oh, just one slot? Okay.
Yes.
All right. So, okay, any question before we stop?
Yes, Prof.
Yes. Hello, Prof.
Okay. Go ahead. Who is this?
All right, sir. I don't know if you'll be kind enough to share the video of the recorded video of this class with us.
I did not record this video, Usman.
Oh,
Nobody,
yes.
nobody remind me. If you remind me earlier, I will record. No problem.
Sorry, Prof. One of the slides.
Yes, Samuel. Samuel, go first.
Yes, the slides, sir. Can you share us the slides?
Yeah, it's already in e-learning.
Okay, thank you, Prof.
Okay. Any question?
Yes, Prof. Yes, Prof.
Yeah, second. How can I help you?
Okay. Yeah, you talked about not including theory in your literature review.
Yeah.
Yeah, but can you expatiate more, because the literature review you explained on your own work, as if I saw some theoretical aspects in the introduction you gave on your literature review. I don't know. Can you shed more light on that?
Well, basically, I write my literature review after I read my paper. So after I read paper, let me mute you for. Okay. Normally, Hassan, can you mute first? Okay. Basically, when I write the literature, I start to write my literature. I already have the idea or the theoretical in my mind. I don't write the literature when I start to read. So I finish reading the literature, and then I then only I start. So that's why I know about the theoretical background. So there is no way that you can write the chapter 2 without understanding the theoretical. Okay, Segun?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Prof.
Okay.
I have a question.
Yes, go ahead, Aliu.
Thank you for wonderful presentation, Prof. I just have a question regarding the literature review. You actually discussed extensively on how to write a literature review.
Yeah.
But the question I want to ask here is, can someone write a literature review probably by using the topic? For example, when you have like maybe a topic, can you maybe break the topic by subject or by object and then you analyze your literature review based on that. For example, you have concrete strength and shear, maybe shear strength or bulk density, for example. So when you have that kind of topic, are you going to like break the literature review? Probably first of all, you discuss the concrete, then followed by maybe shear strength, maybe past talk and previous researches on the shear strength and how they actually conclude, then maybe followed by the last one, maybe for example, a bulk density or something like that. So are you going to break it into that
So
your main research?
this study is basically for what? For improve the concrete strength or what?
No, yeah, what I'm saying, yes, for example, to improve the concrete. Now, probably for example, is like improvement of or the use of bamboo as or the use of maybe garbage or
Oh, I
solid
understand.
waste placed
Understand.
concrete. Probably.
Okay, let me answer your question. Okay, now the main purpose is to strengthen the concrete. Okay,
Yes.
that is your main purpose. So, and then when you read your literature, and then there are so many ways how to strengthen the concrete. Some of the people, maybe I am not in the concrete area, maybe try to use chemical, for example, and
Yes.
then some of them try to use um, different concrete grades, for example, and some
Yes.
of them using additive, and some of them using using natural material and so on. So you must be able to explain the category of the strengthening.
Okay.
Strengthening. So, and then you pick up one of the category which is in your interest, then go ahead with the detailed literature review, just like what you said just now. But the
Okay.
overview of them must be in the literature.
Okay.
Okay.
So thank you.
All right. Any more question?
Sorry, teacher, I have a question.
Yes, Ren.
Thank you, doctor. Recently, I read a lot of literatures, and maybe I can understand the method of them to solve a problem, but they often use a special software. But in the literature, they cannot describe the software clearly. So I don't know how, maybe I don't know how to use the software to solve the same problem.
Okay.
It's my big problem recently.
Right. Ren, when it comes to software, it is no longer in the discussion of the research gap. So it is where the user use the software for to run a specimen or to to run an analysis, which is in the literature review discussion. You don't need that part. Okay, there is no way that the user will discuss the weaknesses of the software. The researcher only discuss something else before that, which is the theory or the methods and so on. But the software is there, so we don't discuss the weaknesses of the software. So you don't need to understand in the first round how to use the software. You don't need that. Okay, then?
Oh, okay, teacher, thank you.
Okay. And then after a while, let me finish with Ren first.
Okay.
Okay, Ren. And after a while, when you finish your literature, then you decide what software that you want to buy or you want to use. Then only you can tell your supervisor, or maybe you can download it online. Then only you just use one. So the software is just a tool. So don't worry about the software.
Oh, okay, thank you, teacher.
Okay, Abdul Ghani. Yes.